Keanu Reeves, the man who needs no introduction, stepped into the most insane, unbelievable, and downright controversial moment of his life on a sun-scorched afternoon that no one saw coming. Something amazing happened, something so wild, so jaw-dropping, that it left the world buzzing with questions, theories, and a hunger for the truth. It was the greatest rescue-turned-showdown ever witnessed, a collision of heroism and chaos that spiraled into a viral firestorm. But what really went down that day at the skate ramp? What secret spark ignited the fury of a social media titan and led to Keanu delivering a single, brutal line that demolished everything in its path? Buckle up, because this tale is about to unfold in ways that will leave you reeling, and it all starts with a child's scream. The day began like any other for Keanu, a man known for his quiet humility despite a life drenched in Hollywood's spotlight. He was cruising through a small coastal town, the kind where salty air clings to your skin and seagulls circle overhead, relentless in their pursuit of forgotten fries. His motorcycle, a sleek black beast he'd ridden across continents, rumbled beneath him as he pulled into a parking lot near the local skate park. It wasn't a planned stop. Something about the sound of grinding wheels and youthful laughter tugged at him, a pull he couldn't resist. He cut the engine, swung his leg over the bike, and adjusted his sunglasses, unaware that fate was about to hurl him into a storm he'd never anticipated. The skate park was alive with energy, teenagers flipping boards, younger kids wobbling on their first attempts, and a small crowd of onlookers soaking in the carefree vibe. Keanu lingered near the edge, his presence unnoticed at first, just another guy in a leather jacket taking in the scene. This isn't just a story, it's a revelation. And if you want to see how far it goes, subscribe now before it disappears. That's when it happened. A piercing shriek cut through the noise, sharp and desperate, the kind that stops your heart cold. Heads turned, eyes darted, and there, teetering at the top of the tallest ramp, was a boy no older than 8, his skateboard wobbling dangerously beneath him. The crowd froze, breath held collectively as the child's tiny frame swayed, inches from a plummet that could shatter bones, or worse. Keanu didn't hesitate. In a blur of motion that seemed almost superhuman, he tore across the asphalt, his boots pounding the ground with a rhythm born of instinct. The ramp loomed ahead, a steep concrete beast, but Keanu's focus was razor-sharp. He leapt onto the structure, scaling its side with the agility of a man half his age, his hands gripping the edge as he hauled himself up. The boy's cries grew louder, his balance faltering, and just as the skateboard slipped free, sending the child tumbling toward the abyss, Keanu lunged. His arms wrapped around the boy's small body, pulling him back from the brink in a move so precise it could have been choreographed for a blockbuster film. The crowd erupted, gasps turning to cheers, as Keanu cradled the trembling child against his chest, steadying them both on the narrow ledge. For a moment, time seemed to pause. Keanu knelt there, high above the park, his breath steady despite the adrenaline coursing through him, whispering something to the boy, words lost to the wind but clearly soothing as the child's sobs quieted. Below, phones were already out, cameras rolling, capturing every second of the Hollywood icon turned real-life hero. The boy's mother raced forward, tears streaming down her face, her gratitude spilling out in incoherent bursts as Keanu carefully descended, handing the child into her trembling arms. It was a scene straight out of a dream, raw, emotional, and impossibly perfect. But perfection never lasts, and what came next would turn this heart-pounding rescue into a controversy that no one could have predicted. Enter Sasha Vane, a name that carried weight in the digital realm. She was a 28-year-old influencer with a following in the millions, her empire built on curated perfection, flawless selfies, biting commentary, and a knack for turning mundane moments into viral gold. That day, she'd been at the skate park, perched on a bench with her tripod set up, live streaming her latest rant about authenticity to her adoring fans. Her platinum hair gleamed in the sunlight, her designer sunglasses perched just so, and her voice carried that signature edge, half condescension, half charm. She hadn't planned on Keanu stealing her spotlight, but when he did, something inside her snapped. As the crowd swarmed around him, praising his bravery, Sasha's stream took a dark turn, her words sharpening into a venomous blade aimed straight at the man who just saved a life. The air shifted as Sasha stormed toward the ramp, her phone still clutched in her manicured hand, the live stream capturing her every move. Her followers, hundreds of thousands watching in real time, saw the fury building in her eyes, a storm brewing beneath her polished exterior. Keanu, still catching his breath, stood near the boy and his mother, oblivious to the influencer closing in. The crowd parted instinctively, sensing the tension, as Sasha planted herself in front of him, her voice rising over the murmurs. She didn't care that a child had nearly died, didn't care that Keanu had risked himself without a second thought. All she saw was a moment slipping away from her, a moment she'd intended to own, and she was determined to claw it back, no matter the cost. What followed was a clash so explosive it would echo across the internet for weeks. Sasha unleashed a tirade, her words dripping with entitlement, accusing Keanu of staging the rescue for attention, of stealing her thunder, of being a washed-up relic desperate for relevance. The crowd bristled, some shouting back in defense of Keanu, others too stunned to react. But Keanu remained still, his face unreadable, letting her venom wash over him like rain on stone. Sasha's rant grew louder, wilder, her gestures erratic as she waved her phone, daring him to respond. And then in a moment that would become legendary, he did. With a single sentence, a brutal, perfectly delivered line, Keanu dismantled her entire world, leaving her speechless and the internet ablaze. But what did he say? How did one man turn a furious influencer's attack into her own undoing? The answer lies ahead, and it's more shocking than anyone could imagine. The skate park stood on the edge of chaos, the air thick with tension as Sasha Vane's tirade reached its fevered peak. Her voice sliced through the crowd like a blade, sharp and unrelenting, her accusations painting Keanu Reeves as a fame-hungry fraud who'd orchestrated the child's rescue for his own gain. The sun beat down mercilessly, casting harsh shadows across the concrete, amplifying the surreal intensity of the moment. Phones trembled in onlookers' hands, capturing every second of the influencer's meltdown, while her live stream chat exploded with a mix of outrage, support, and morbid curiosity. Sasha's platinum hair whipped in the breeze, her designer sunglasses slipping down her nose as she jabbed a finger toward Keanu, her words a venomous torrent meant to drown him in shame. But Keanu stood unmoved, a pillar of calm amid the storm. His leather jacket gleamed faintly under the sunlight, his posture relaxed yet grounded, as if he'd faced worse than this 1,000 times over. The boy he'd saved clung to his mother nearby, wide-eyed and silent, while the crowd murmured uneasily, torn between Sasha's fury and the undeniable heroism they just witnessed. Sasha's attack grew more unhinged with every passing second, her voice cracking as she screamed about authenticity, about how Keanu's stunt had ruined her day, her content, her narrative. She waved her phone like a weapon, the screen flashing with real-time comments from her followers, some egging her on, others begging her to stop. It was a spectacle of ego run wild, and she seemed oblivious to the growing unease rippling through the onlookers. Then came the moment that shifted everything. Sasha stepped closer, too close, her face inches from Keanu's, her breath hot with rage as she demanded he admit it was all a ploy. The crowd held its collective breath, waiting for the crack, waiting for Keanu to snap, to defend himself, to match her fire with his own. But he didn't. Instead, he tilted his head slightly, his dark eyes locking onto hers with an intensity that silenced the world around them. The noise of the skate park, the grinding wheels, the distant gulls, Sasha's own shrieking, faded into a hush. And then, in a voice so low it was almost a whisper, yet carrying the weight of a thunderclap, Keanu spoke his single, devastating line. "You're yelling at a mirror, and it's not my reflection you hate." The words landed like a sledgehammer. Sasha froze, her mouth half open, her next insult dying on her lips. The crowd gasped, a ripple of stunned silence spreading outward before erupting into a chaotic mix of cheers, laughter, and disbelief. Keanu's line wasn't just a retort, it was a precision strike, cutting through Sasha's facade and exposing the raw, insecure core she'd spent years hiding behind filters and followers. Her phone slipped slightly in her grip, the live stream still rolling, broadcasting her humiliation to millions. The chat exploded anew, a flood of fire emojis, shocked faces, and declarations that Keanu had just ended her career with 9 simple words. Sasha's face twisted, a kaleidoscope of emotions flashing across it: rage, embarrassment, disbelief. She stumbled back a step, her heels scraping the concrete, as if physically recoiling from the truth Keanu had laid bare. The crowd surged forward, some clapping for Keanu, others jeering at Sasha, their phones now aimed at her like a firing squad. She tried to recover, her voice trembling as she spat out a weak rebuttal, something about Keanu being a nobody, but it was too late. The momentum had shifted, and she was drowning in it. Keanu didn't gloat, didn't linger. He simply turned away, his focus returning to the boy and his mother, ensuring they were okay, as if Sasha's outburst had been nothing more than background noise. But the storm was far from over. Within minutes, the footage spread like wildfire across every platform: X, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. Clips of Keanu's rescue and Sasha's meltdown racking up views faster than anyone could track. Hashtags like Keanu saves and Sasha destroyed trended worldwide, while memes of Keanu's line plastered the internet, each one more savage than the last. Sasha's followers split into factions, some abandoning her, others doubling down in blind loyalty. But the damage was done. Her empire, built on carefully curated perfection, began to crumble under the weight of her own unraveling. Meanwhile, Keanu's legend grew, his quiet heroism and brutal honesty cementing him as an icon beyond Hollywood's reach. Back at the skate park, the aftermath unfolded in real time. Sasha retreated to her bench, her tripod toppled over, her live stream still active but now a chaotic mess of shaky footage and her muttered curses. She fumbled with her phone, trying to salvage the narrative, but her hands shook too badly to type a coherent response. The crowd dispersed slowly, some lingering to snap photos of Keanu as he knelt beside the boy, handing him a small keychain from his motorcycle, a memento of the day he'd nearly lost everything. The mother wept again, her gratitude pouring out as she clutched Keanu's hand, unaware that her son's savior had just sparked a cultural earthquake. As the sun dipped lower, casting long shadows across the ramps, Keanu rose to his feet, his work here done. He glanced once at Sasha, now a diminished figure hunched over her phone, and then walked back to his motorcycle. The engine roared to life, a deep growl that drowned out the last echoes of the day's chaos, and he rode off into the horizon, leaving behind a scene that would be dissected, debated, and immortalized. But this was only the beginning. Sasha wasn't finished, not yet, and what she'd do next would push this controversy into uncharted territory, threatening to drag Keanu back into a battle he'd never asked for. The coastal town faded into a blur behind Keanu Reeves as his motorcycle carved a path through the winding roads, the rumble of the engine a steady pulse beneath him. The sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of orange and purple, but the serenity of the ride couldn't erase the weight of what had just transpired at the skate park. Keanu's mind lingered on the boy's wide-eyed relief, the mother's tearful gratitude, and Sasha Vane's unraveling fury. He walked away as he always did, letting the moment settle into the past. But the world wasn't done with him yet. Far from it. The internet was a beast awakening, and its jaws were closing in fast. Miles away, Sasha sat in the dim glow of her luxury apartment, the wreckage of her reputation strewn across the screens in front of her. Her phone buzzed incessantly, notifications piling up like debris after a storm, angry DMs, mocking comments, and a flood of unfollows that chipped away at her once unassailable follower count. The live stream had ended hours ago, but the clips were everywhere, looping endlessly on every platform, each view a fresh stab to her ego. Keanu's words, "You're yelling at a mirror and it's not my reflection you hate," played on repeat in her mind, a haunting refrain she couldn't silence. Her hands trembled as she scrolled through the carnage, her perfectly manicured nails tapping the glass in a frantic rhythm. She wasn't just humiliated, she was cornered, and Sasha Vane didn't do cornered. The night stretched on, and Sasha's desperation morphed into a plan. She wasn't going to let Keanu have the last word, not when her entire empire hung in the balance. She grabbed her laptop, her fingers flying across the keys as she drafted a response, a counterattack designed to flip the narrative. By morning, she'd uploaded a sleekly edited video to her channels titled "The Truth About Keanu Reeves, Hero or Fraud." The thumbnail was a masterpiece of clickbait, Keanu mid-rescue, his face shadowed ominously, with Sasha's tear-streaked visage superimposed in the corner. The video was a calculated assault, weaving half-truths and outright lies into a tapestry of victimhood. She claimed Keanu had orchestrated the skate park incident with paid actors, that he'd targeted her for clout, that his humble hero persona was a sham hiding a ruthless opportunist. The internet devoured it. Sasha's loyalists rallied, flooding comment sections with support, while skeptics and Keanu fans fired back with equal ferocity. The video racked up millions of views within hours, reigniting the controversy with a vengeance. News outlets jumped in, their headlines screaming conflicting takes: Keanu Reeves, savior or stuntman? Influencer Sasha Vane fights back against viral humiliation. The skate park clash became a cultural lightning rod, splitting the online world into camps: those who saw Keanu as a genuine hero and those who bought Sasha's tale of betrayal. Memes multiplied, arguments raged, and the boys' rescue, the heart of it all, faded into a footnote beneath the escalating war of words. Keanu, meanwhile, had ridden far from the chaos, stopping at a quiet diner on the edge of town. The place was a relic: faded red booths, a jukebox humming old tunes, and the smell of coffee thick in the air. He sat in the corner, a cup steaming in front of him, his leather jacket slung over the chair. The waitress, a middle-aged woman with a kind smile, hadn't recognized him, or if she had, she didn't care. It was a rare pocket of peace, a chance to breathe after the madness. But peace never lasted long. His phone, tucked in his pocket, began to vibrate, a soft buzz that grew insistent. He pulled it out, glancing at the screen: texts from friends, alerts from news apps, a flood of mentions on X. The world was calling him back, whether he liked it or not. Scrolling through, Keanu saw Sasha's video trending, its accusations laid bare for all to see. His expression didn't change, stoic, unreadable, but his grip tightened slightly on the phone. He watched a clip, Sasha's voice dripping with faux vulnerability as she painted him as a villain. He set the phone down, exhaling slowly, the diner's hum a stark contrast to the storm brewing online. He could have ignored it, let it burn out like so many scandals before, but something about this felt different. Sasha wasn't just attacking him, she was rewriting the truth, twisting a moment of raw humanity into a weapon. And then there was the boy, the one he'd pulled from the edge, his story buried beneath the noise. By midday, the diner's TV flickered to life with a breaking news segment. The anchor, polished and urgent, recounted the skate park saga, splicing footage of Keanu's rescue with Sasha's tearful rebuttal. Customers glanced up, murmurs rippling through the room, and a few eyes landed on Keanu, recognition dawning. He pulled his cap lower, sipping his coffee, but the whispers grew. The segment ended with a teaser. Sasha had announced a live Q&A that night, promising explosive revelations about Keanu. The internet braced itself, speculation running wild. Was she bluffing? Did she have proof? Or was this a desperate gambit to claw back her relevance? Keanu paid his bill, leaving a generous tip, and stepped outside into the crisp afternoon air. His motorcycle waited, a silent companion ready to carry him away. But as he swung his leg over the seat, a shadow fell across the pavement. A teenage skater from the park, his board tucked under his arm. The kid hesitated, then spoke, his voice shaky but earnest. He'd been there yesterday, had seen it all, and he wanted Keanu to know the truth mattered, to him, to the boy, to everyone who'd watched in awe. Keanu nodded, a faint smile tugging at his lips, and handed the teen a spare helmet from his bike. "Keep riding," he said simply, before the engine roared to life. As Keanu rode off, the stage was set for a showdown bigger than the skate park. Sasha's Q&A loomed, a ticking clock promising chaos while Keanu's silence fueled the fire. The world watched, breathless, waiting for the next move in a battle that had spiraled far beyond a single ramp. What Sasha didn't know, what no one knew, was that Keanu wasn't running from this fight. He was preparing. And when he struck back, it would be on his terms, in a way that would leave the internet, and Sasha reeling. You felt that, didn't you? That was no ordinary moment. If it hit you, hit like, and let's keep going. The horizon swallowed Keanu Reeves as his motorcycle roared down the coastal highway, the ocean's endless expanse stretching out to his left, a mirror of calm that belied the tempest brewing in the digital world. The wind whipped against his leather jacket, tugging at the edges, but his grip on the handlebars remained steady, his mind a fortress of focus. The teenage skater's words echoed in his thoughts, simple, earnest, a reminder of why he'd leapt onto that ramp without hesitation. It wasn't fame or glory that drove him. It was something deeper, something Sasha Vane and her army of followers couldn't comprehend. As the miles stretched on, Keanu wasn't fleeing the chaos. He was gathering himself, steeling for a response that would cut through the noise like a blade through fog. Back in her apartment, Sasha Vane was a whirlwind of manic energy. The hours ticked down to her promised live Q&A, and her polished exterior was cracking under the strain. Her once pristine living room was a war zone, empty coffee cups scattered across the table, her laptop glowing with dozens of open tabs, and a mirror propped against the wall reflecting her disheveled state. Her platinum hair hung in limp strands, her eyes bloodshot from lack of sleep, but her determination burned brighter than ever. The video she'd posted had bought her time, reignited her base, and now this Q&A was her chance to land the killing blow. She spent the day digging, scouring Keanu's past, twisting rumors into ammunition, crafting a narrative that would paint him as a calculated manipulator who'd played the hero to mask darker truths. Her phone buzzed with updates from her inner circle, loyalists who'd been feeding her tips, screenshots, anything she could use. One message stood out, a blurry photo from years ago, Keanu at a charity event, shaking hands with a controversial figure. It was flimsy, circumstantial, but Sasha didn't care. She'd spin it into a conspiracy, a thread her followers could unravel into a tapestry of doubt. She paced the room, rehearsing her lines, her voice rising and falling in a cadence meant to mesmerize. The Q&A would be her stage, her moment to reclaim the spotlight and bury Keanu beneath the avalanche of suspicion. She checked the clock of 2 hours to go and smirked at her reflection, a predator sensing blood. Meanwhile, Keanu pulled into a secluded overlook, the kind of spot where the world felt far away. The cliffs dropped sharply to the sea below, waves crashing against jagged rocks with a rhythm that matched his breathing. He cut the engine, the silence settling over him like a cloak, and pulled out his phone. The notifications had multiplied, friends urging him to respond, fans defending his honor, strangers dissecting his every move. He scrolled past Sasha's video, past the headlines, until he found a message from an old friend, a tech-savvy ally who'd been tracking the online fallout. Attached was a file, raw footage from the skate park, unedited, captured by a bystander's drone. It showed everything, the boy's fall, Keanu's sprint, the rescue in stark, undeniable clarity. No staging, no actors, just truth. Keanu watched it once, then again, his jaw tightening as the reality sank in. Sasha could lie all she wanted, but this was irrefutable. He forwarded the file to his friend with a simple instruction: hold it, wait for my signal. He wasn't ready to play his hand yet. Timing was everything, and Sasha's Q&A would be the perfect moment to let the truth speak for itself. He pocketed the phone and leaned against his bike, gazing out at the ocean. The world could rage, but here, in this fleeting stillness, he found clarity. He wouldn't fight Sasha's war of words. He'd end it with something stronger. As dusk fell, Sasha's Q&A went live. Her apartment transformed into a studio, lights rigged to cast her in a flattering glow, her makeup hastily applied to hide the exhaustion. She sat before the camera, a queen on her throne, and launched into her opening salvo. Her voice was smooth now, rehearsed, dripping with faux sincerity as she thanked her fans for standing by her. The chat erupted with heart emojis and cheers, her loyalists ready to hang on her every word. She leaned in, eyes glinting, and began her attack, recounting the skate park incident with a twisted lens, claiming Keanu had paid off witnesses, that the boy's mother was in on it, that the whole thing was a PR stunt gone wrong. She flashed the blurry photo, spinning a tale of Keanu's shady connections, her words a venomous web meant to ensnare him. The internet lit up. Her followers amplified every claim, hashtags like Keanu exposed trending alongside her stream. Skeptics pushed back, but Sasha's momentum was relentless. She fielded questions with a predator's grace, dodging contradictions, feeding the frenzy. Viewership soared past 1 million, then 2, her empire clawing its way back from the brink. She smirked at the camera, daring Keanu to show his face, taunting him as a coward hiding behind silence. The chat roared with agreement, her power swelling with every second. She was winning until she was. Halfway through the stream, a ripple cut through the chaos. A new video dropped on X, unannounced, untraceable, uploaded by an anonymous account. It was the drone footage, crisp, unedited, a silent rebuttal to every lie Sasha had spun. The clip spread like wildfire, shared by thousands within minutes, its raw authenticity slicing through her narrative. The chat faltered, confusion creeping in as viewers cross-referenced the streams. Sasha didn't notice at first, too caught up in her triumph, but then a question popped up. What about the drone video? Her smile twitched, her eyes darting to her phone. She pulled it up, saw the footage, and for the first time, fear flickered across her face. The tide turned fast. The drone video showed Keanu's sprint from an angle no one could fake, the urgency in his movements, the boy's terrified flail, the split-second save. No actors, no setup, just a man risking everything for a stranger. Sasha's claims crumbled under its weight, her followers wavering as the truth sank in. She stammered, trying to pivot, but the chat flipped, anger now aimed at her, accusations of deceit flooding the screen. Keanu hadn't said a word, hadn't needed to. The footage was his voice, and it was deafening. Sasha's stream became a train wreck, viewers dropping off, her empire fracturing in real time. Keanu, still at the overlook, watched the sunset bleed into twilight. His phone buzzed with updates, his friend confirming the video's impact, the internet turning on Sasha with a vengeance. He didn't smile, didn't gloat. He simply nodded to himself, climbed back on his bike, and started the engine. The fight wasn't over, Sasha wouldn't go quietly, but Keanu had drawn first blood. And as he rode into the night, the world waited, breathless, for her next desperate move. Night draped the coastal highway in a shroud of darkness as Keanu Reeves rode onward, the motorcycle's headlight cutting a narrow path through the shadows. The ocean's roar faded into a distant hum, replaced by the steady thrum of the engine, a heartbeat syncing with his own. The drone footage had landed its blow, a silent thunderclap that had shaken Sasha Vane's crumbling empire to its core. Keanu felt no triumph in it, just a quiet resolve, a certainty that truth had a way of rising above the noise. His phone stayed silent now, tucked away, the chaos of the internet a world apart from the solitude of the road. But solitude was an illusion, and Sasha's next move was already brewing, a desperate gambit born of a cornered predator's instinct. In her apartment, Sasha's world was imploding. The Q&A had spiraled into a disaster, her screen a battlefield of betrayal, fans turning, sponsors pulling back, her carefully crafted image shattering like glass underfoot. The drone video looped on her laptop, mocking her with every frame, its unedited clarity a mirror she couldn't escape. Her hands shook as she slammed the device shut, her breath ragged, her mind racing for a lifeline. She'd lost control of the narrative, but surrender wasn't in her DNA. She paced the room, the wreckage of her earlier confidence strewn around her, spilled coffee staining the rug, her phone buzzing with hate-filled notifications she couldn't bear to read. Then, an idea sparked, dark and reckless, a last-ditch play to drag Keanu down with her. Sasha grabbed her phone, her fingers trembling as she dialed a number she hadn't touched in years, a contact from her pre-influencer days, a shadowy figure who thrived on the edges of legality. His name was Milo, a wiry man with a knack for digging up dirt and a moral compass that pointed wherever the money did. She met him during her scrappy climb to fame, when she needed leverage to bury a rival. Now she needed him again. The call connected, his voice a low rasp against the static. She didn't waste time on pleasantries. Her instructions were clipped, urgent. Find something on Keanu, anything, no matter how buried or fabricated. Milo chuckled, sensing her desperation, and named his price. She agreed without hesitation, the cost irrelevant if it meant her survival. While Milo set to work, Sasha pivoted to damage control. She posted a cryptic update across her platforms. The truth isn't what you think. Stay tuned. A teaser to keep her dwindling faithful hooked. The message ignited speculation, her loyalists clinging to hope, while skeptics mocked her as a sinking ship firing flares. She leaned into the chaos, live-streaming a raw, unfiltered rant from her disheveled apartment, mascara streaking her cheeks as she played the victim. She didn't mention the drone video directly, too risky, but hinted at a bigger story, a conspiracy that would shock the world. Her performance was unhinged, magnetic, a train wreck no one could look away from. Viewership spiked again, her desperation a twisted lifeline pulling her back from the abyss. Keanu, oblivious to Sasha's machinations, pulled into a small motel off the highway, its neon sign flickering in the night. The place was weathered but clean, the kind of spot where travelers sought refuge and stories stayed untold. He checked in under a pseudonym, his cap pulled low, and settled into a room that smelled faintly of pine cleaner. The bed creaked under his weight as he sat, pulling off his boots, the day's weight settling into his bones. He didn't check his phone, didn't need to. The drone footage had done its job and he trusted it to stand. But as he lay back, staring at the cracked ceiling, a faint unease stirred. Sasha's silence wouldn't last. She'd strike again and it wouldn't be subtle. By morning, Milo delivered. He met Sasha in a dimly lit diner on the outskirts of town, sliding a manila envelope across the sticky table. Inside was a patchwork of half-truths and outright lies, grainy photos of Keanu at obscure events, doctored emails suggesting shady deals, and a forged police report from decades ago claiming an altercation that never happened. It was flimsy, a house of cards built on sand, but Milo knew how to sell it. Sasha's eyes gleamed as she flipped through the contents, her mind already weaving it into a bombshell. She paid him in cash, her hands steady now, and raced back to her apartment to craft her next move. A tell-all exposé scheduled for that night, promising to end Keanu Reeves once and for all. The internet buzzed with anticipation as Sasha's teaser spread. Her followers, battered but still devoted, rallied with hashtags like Sasha Truth and Keanu Unmasked, while Keanu's defenders braced for another wave of lies. News outlets picked up the scent, speculation running rampant. Had Sasha found real dirt, or was this another bluff? The motel's TV flickered with morning headlines, the anchor's voice a distant hum as Keanu sipped black coffee in the lobby. He caught his name, his face flashing on screen, and set the mug down with a slow exhale. The game was shifting again, and he felt it, the quiet before a storm he couldn't outride. Sasha's exposé went live at 8 p.m., her apartment transformed into a war room once more. She sat before the camera, poised and venomous, the envelope's contents spread out like trophies. She launched into her story with theatrical flair, waving the photos, reading the forged emails aloud, her voice trembling with faux outrage. She accused Keanu of a decades-long cover-up, bribery, violence, a hidden life of corruption masked by his nice guy persona. The chat exploded, her loyalists eating it up, while skeptics flagged the inconsistencies, dates that didn't align, photos too blurry to verify. But truth didn't matter, perception did, and Sasha was banking on the chaos to bury Keanu under doubt. The motel's Wi-Fi was spotty, but Keanu caught the stream on his phone, leaning against the headboard as Sasha's lies filled the room. His expression didn't change, calm, steady. But his fingers tapped the edge of the bed, a rare sign of tension. The accusations were absurd, a fiction so wild it bordered on parody, yet he knew the damage they could do. He texted his tech friend again. Check the source. Dig deep. If Sasha had gone this far, there'd be a trail, someone who'd sold her this garbage. Keanu wasn't running anymore. He was ready to end this, and when he did, Sasha wouldn't see it coming. As the exposé peaked, cracks appeared. Ex-users dissected the photos, spotting edits. A fact-checker debunked the police report in real time. Sasha's narrative teetered, but she pressed on, oblivious to the unraveling. Keanu watched, waiting. The truth was his weapon, and he'd wield it when the moment was right. The night stretched on, the internet a battlefield, and Sasha's desperate strike hung in the balance, teetering between triumph and total collapse. The night stretched into a taut wire of tension as Sasha Vane's exposé streamed live. Her voice a relentless hammer pounding out accusations against Keanu Reeves. Her apartment glowed with the harsh light of her setup. The forged documents and blurry photos fanned out before her like a gambler's last hand. She leaned into the camera, her eyes wild with conviction, weaving a tale of Keanu's supposed corruption, bribery, violence, a shadow life hidden beneath his quiet demeanor. The chat surged with her loyalists' fervor, their blind faith fueling her momentum, while skeptics and Keanu's defenders fired back, picking apart her story with surgical precision. The internet was a cauldron boiling over, and Sasha stood at its center, betting everything on this final, desperate throw. In the motel room, Keanu sat in the dim flicker of a single lamp, the phone balanced on his knee as Sasha's stream played out. The accusations washed over him, absurd, disconnected from the man he knew himself to be. But he didn't flinch. His face remained a mask of calm, though his fingers stilled on the bed's edge, a quiet signal of the storm brewing within. He'd seen lies before, weathered storms of rumor, but this was different. Sasha wasn't just attacking him. She was clawing at the truth of that day at the skate park, at the boy he'd saved, at the raw humanity she could fathom. He waited, his tech friend's investigation ticking in the background like a countdown. This wasn't about defending himself. It was about ending her game for good. The cracks in Sasha's narrative widened as the hours wore on. X became a battleground of real-time debunking. Users flagged the doctored emails, their timestamps off by years. A photo expert exposed the edits in Milo's grainy shots. The forged police report collapsed under scrutiny, its precinct number tied to a station that didn't exist in the claimed year. Her loyalists faltered, their comments slowing as doubt crept in, while Keanu's supporters amplified the takedown, hashtags like Sasha Lies and Keanu Truth trending worldwide. Sasha pressed on, oblivious or defiant, her voice rising to a fevered pitch as she doubled down, claiming a cover-up, a conspiracy silencing her truth. But the tide was turning and she couldn't stop it. Then came the kill shot. Keanu's friend delivered, a digital payload sent straight to his phone, a dossier tracing Milo's handiwork back to Sasha. It was meticulous, bank records showing her payment, encrypted messages between her and Milo, even a time-stamped audio clip of their diner meeting, her voice clear as she demanded something big on Keanu. It wasn't just proof, it was a guillotine. Keanu forwarded it to his friend with a single word: now. Within minutes, the dossier hit X, uploaded anonymously but spreading like wildfire. The audio played on repeat, Sasha's desperation laid bare, her own words condemning her. "I don't care if it's real, just make it stick." The internet erupted, a tidal wave of outrage crashing over her stream. Sasha's screen froze mid-rant, her eyes darting to her phone as the audio clip flooded her chat. She stammered, her composure shattering, the mask of victimhood slipping to reveal the panic beneath. Her followers abandoned her in droves, unfollows ticking up by the thousands, sponsors cutting ties in public statements. The stream became a graveyard, silent, empty, her empire reduced to ash in real time. She slammed her laptop shut, the feed cutting to black, but the damage was done. The world saw her for what she was, a fraud who'd gambled everything and lost. News outlets pivoted, headlines shifting from her accusations to her downfall. Influencer Sasha Vane exposed in fabricated attack on Keanu Reeves. Keanu set his phone down, the room silent save for the hum of the motel's heater. He didn't need to watch the fallout. He knew it was over. The dossier had done its work, the truth standing tall without him ever saying a word. He leaned back, exhaling slowly, the weight of the past days lifting like fog burned off by the sun. Outside, the night stretched on, the highway quiet, the world settling into a new equilibrium. He'd never wanted this fight, but he'd finished it, and that was enough. By morning, the skate park story had a new ending. The boy's mother spoke to a local reporter, her voice steady as she recounted Keanu's rescue, unscripted, selfless, real. The clip went viral, a quiet coda to the chaos, refocusing the narrative on what mattered. A child saved, a moment of grace. Sasha vanished from the spotlight, her accounts going dark, her name a cautionary tale whispered in influencer circles. Keanu, meanwhile, checked out of the motel, his bike gleaming in the dawn light. The clerk waved as he rode off, a faint smile on his face. No fanfare, no fuss, just a man moving on. The internet churned on, memes of Keanu's skate park line. You're yelling at a mirror, morphing into a cultural touchstone, a symbol of quiet strength over hollow noise. His legend grew not through flash or fury, but through the steady, unshakable truth he carried. He rode toward the horizon, the ocean glittering beside him, leaving behind a world forever changed. Sasha's empire was dust, her reckoning complete, and Keanu Reeves, hero, enigma, man, rolled on, the road ahead his alone. If you enjoyed this story, there's another video on screen right now. Go ahead and give it a look for an even more astonishing tale. And don't forget, we'll have many more uplifting and dramatic stories coming your way. So make sure you subscribe to our channel, that way you'll never miss our newest uploads.